Hello everyone, welcome again. Today I will be presenting to you the game of the Skillman Open, the final game, the knockout. The game was played between Magnus Carlsen and Wesley, so they were the top two contenders in the final. And so here we go. Let's start the game and see whether you can predict what the game will look like. Actually, I joined the chat of the Skillman Open Live, and it was very interesting type of commentaries that we had over there, and I'll tell you about it as a critical point of the game here. Okay, so let's start. Magnus was playing white, Wesley was playing black. And this happened on November 29th, 2020, the knockout final round of the Skillman Open. All right, let's go. We have d4, knight to f6, c4. Okay, it looks like we're controlling the center basically here. e6. Wesley is kind of eyeing where he's going to, Magnus is going to go. And then knight to f3, developing, protecting the d4 pawn. So an interesting structure right here. Who's got momentum? Who's got tempo? d5. Finally, Wesley is starting to attack, moving in. Look at the pawn structure over here. It's almost like a mirror image. Almost looks like the Queen's Gambit. Knight to c3. c5. Oh, looks like these four pawns are so nice looking there. Very colorful type of situation. I wonder if they're going to take. Maybe they're going to take. Somebody has to take, to open up the position. Again, we're vying for the center. Let's see what they're going to do. Yes. The pawn takes, and the other pawn takes. We've got this position now where we're opening up on the queen side. Lot more open space. This is only like the fifth move, and look how much open space we have on the board. Interesting development, quite fast. You can see the knight here is protected as attacking this pawn, while this knight is protecting the pawn, and this one is guarding this square. And so let's see what happens next. Wow, we bring out the queen quite fast. I wonder what Magnus is planning here. He's attacking the knight and going this way here. Interesting move. Developing this queen quite early. He's got a plan there. And then we take. And so now we are like almost staring at each other. The queens are staring at each other. I wonder if he wants to affect Black's castling capabilities, if he's going to put pressure early on the king. You see he's still undeveloped here. He's still quite undeveloped here. And he better move this bishop out in order to be able to castle. But look, very slow development here on Wesley's end. We still had the two bishops. I'm not counting the rooks because the rooks go to the end, but we had only two pieces undeveloped. 1, 2, 3, 4 of these pieces. The rooks again, I'm not counting because they're mostly in the end game that are used. Okay, so let's see what happens next. All right, he brings up the pressure quite fast, attacking the pawn here on d5. Pressure is rising, like when you're putting in the pressure cooker, you start the sizzle starting sizzle, the sizzle of the pressure cooker here. The Magnus pressure cooker is a feeling. I'm feeling it now if I were Black. But anyway, let's see if Wesley recovers and holds and does some sort of counter attack. Let's see what he does. He takes. All right, now we've got the queens staring at each other. Do you think he's going to worry about this knight? or he's gonna go over here with the queen. Quite exchanging the queens, but now Wesley cannot, lost his opportunity to castle. So interesting. Interesting. Will that affect him greatly? Now we have a nice big open line with Magnus Carlsen developed with his knights. Although this one is being attacked, but it's being protected. And it's attacked over here. I mean, this one's, we're attacking the knight, but this knight is attacking this pawn. Well, this one is protecting. So a very interesting situation here. Quite dangerous for Wesley to have such an open line. I mean, he's got a... Well, the queens are gone, so let's see what the game will look like now. What pieces we're going to be fighting for territory here. And the knights move in. What are they doing here? Okay, we are attacking here and attacking this rook. Like if we're two away, if we go here, we're attacking the rook and a check. Look how fast! Just one little move of the knight. Here, if he goes, manages to go here, he's forking both pieces. Wow, what is Wesley going to do? Is he going to put pressure on the knight, or is he going to figure out some other counter attack? Well, he brings in the bishop. So now he has choices. Do I take here? Oh, he cannot go over here anymore because it'll be, the bishop will be eating him up. So he is stopping this attack. So let's see what Magnus decides to do now. Well, he decides to take the bishop. He's not afraid that the knight will be taken, but this is a check here and he could take, but then we have this that we could take with the pawn. Let's see what Wesley does. He takes with the pawn. Kind of a natural move. We gotta protect our king, but Wesley's king is very exposed there, very exposed, and still interesting game where things are not as developed as they could be. But these are players. They do what they want to do, play however they want to play. Okay. Well, now we bring up the bishop, and then the king moved here too. I think I did that really fast there. My computer decided to do this faster than I wanted it to. So let's move back. So the bishop is now staring straight at this pawn. So we are trying to eat up pawns. If you try to eat up material as much as you can, you might want to be going for a draw, but then you want to see which strongest pieces you have left. So now we continue on the attack. Again, I said every move in chess has to have a purpose. You just don't walk in the park in chess. You have to cross the street, and you make sure the light is red. Unless you're a knight and you can jump over to the other side. Anyway, okay, so here we go. What's next? Yeah, again, he moves the king to protect this pawn. Well, now he's activated his king that early. Okay, well, we'll see. Well, here we still have some resources. Very open line here of attacked. Very open line. Let's see what he does. What does Magnus do next? He castles. He was able to castle. Wesley was not. So he went after him early in the game. Maybe that was part of the plan, not let him castle. Well, he now gets to castle, which, look at the pawn strength. He's nice and protected. With what will he attack? He's got two knights and a bishop. Can he mobilize them to attack? Or he's going to be defending the rest of the game? We shall see. Finally, he brings out the knight. Let's see. The knight can go here. If he goes here, he's going to be attacking the bishop. All right, we'll see what Carlsen Magnus does. He brings out the bishop. Ooh, double bishops. Is he going to go for the double bishops against the king? We'll see how Wesley is going to foresee the threats. Okay, he brings out the rook finally. He activates the rook on the open line, so this one is attacking. Does this bishop have any defenders? Do you see any defenders? I don't see any defenders. So is he gonna bring something out? It's gonna bring out move the bishop. Let's see what's important to him. Maybe he has a different plan and won't mind him taking the bishops. Let's see. He moves the bishop back, so it's important to him. All right, so this knight is protected by this pawn. Okay, we keep on moving. So now he brings again. He's going after the bishop. He wants this bishop. All right. So what will Magnus do now? But the bishop now is protected, so maybe he's not as worried anymore by the pawn. And he is put himself into this position. The bishop can take. Maybe he will take, depending which bishop is more important to him. Oh, he is protected by the rook. What's he going to do? Does he want to take? Like, is that good? That's an even exchange, but it's going to bring down the rook if he does that. Let's see what he does. All right, he takes the knight. So it's a bishop for knight exchange, but now we are now allowing this rook. Most likely we will take. I mean, we're just eating up pieces. Again, having less pieces to deal with on the board makes you less stressed. Although there's still stress, but there's less stressful. You know, less things to juggle in the air. You know, like a juggler. He's got 3 things to juggle. It's kind of easier than juggling 5. Because it's very dynamic. You know, chess is very, very dynamic. There's things to do here, things to do there, and you have to balance, you have to have momentum, you have to have all these pieces together. It's like an orchestra, but on 64 squares. You have to have the crescendo and all this other stuff in chess. It's like a musical composition. It's very artistic. Okay, so he takes. And now he also moved the rook to go center. He's now going after these pawns. Okay, relentless. Every move has a threat, basically. Very, very interesting. High level. You eat up a lot of calories playing this sport. It is a sport because it does require a lot of physical strength. You gotta, in order for your brain to be working at this high pace, you gotta feed it well. The body has to be in good, just like any sport, physical sport, in good condition. Alrighty. And now he moves up. Interesting, the pawn. Why would he do that? Maybe he now has a plan of maybe escaping for the place to escape for the king, or maybe being able to bring out his bishop in a fianchetto move. Okay, we'll see. He has now, let's see, Magnus has now eaten the pawn at the same time that he's done that. Look at the magic of Magnus. The Magnus magic. Well, a lot of players at this level have these things where you just don't do one move. In one move, you just don't stop there. In one move, you have another move. And this move is attacking both the rook and the knight. Genius. What a genius. Okay, like it's so much fluidity. And so many things being done, so much multitasking being done with one move. Okay, which one is he going to want to save? Is he going to do a counter attack that will be more important for Magnus to stop? Let's see what Wesley does. Okay, he takes the knight, but by taking the knight, he's only attacking the pawn, nothing else. And not only by taking the knight, he's exposing himself for attack right here. And who's protecting his knight by doing this? Do you see any protection for the knight? Very surprising. Very surprising. Any protection for the knight here? Okay. Well, let's see. So, of course, Magnus takes the knight. At the same time, moving up towards the line where the king seems to be resting at the moment. Okay, getting very interesting. Less pieces on the board. Here we continue. We've got this knight nicely, compactly protected by this wall of pawns. All right, continuation. So he moves up the pawn, which now is being protected by the rook. So he's kind of busy. The rook is kind of busy. He's not able to do any kind of attacking here. He could go here, but not really because of the pawn. I mean, he's got limited moves. If he goes here, it's blocked by his own pawn. He could go here, but this is a very nice fortress still. So we got it. He has not pushed these pawns yet. So almost like a lacking of like turbo power. He's not on turbo yet. Okay, we continue. Okie dokie, we bring up the pawn to f4 again, attacking. But he did not choose to go take. He's going to attack with a smaller piece, because if he goes here, he would go here, and there's a goodbye rook. So now he brings up a pawn to attack this Wesley's pawn. Okay. And now finally he's able to activate. Wesley's activating his bishop to protect the pawn. Seems again the pawn's very important, because where is the king gonna go? He's got like empty space to protect him. Where is he gonna go? I mean, a very interesting situation here, but still not over. We're still only on move 19. There's quite many moves to go. So let's continue. All right, we're bringing the rook again. Look at the batter, staring straight, like boom, 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 for the king here. The black king is being prepared to be under quite a bit of attack. Let's see how Wesley responds. This is where the top of the game is key to keep cool under pressure. Let's see what he does. Okay, that's kind of fast. So he decides. Let's go back. So when he goes here, why don't this goes very fast? But anyway, Wesley sees also finding an opportunity to get rid of this pawn to be able to get here, but he doesn't have that much firepower. I mean, his rook is guarding his pawn. How is he going to jump over to get here for what Magnus has here? But it's putting pressure on this pawn to be able to make a decision, because I will eat you up, and then he can take the rook. So interesting, good move. Putting the attacking pawn under pressure and attacking with his rook. So he does get out of the way, and I wonder if he could take, but then he would take, and then okay. So now we have the rook staring at this pawn, but if he takes, then this will take, and it's going to be another check, and then there's going to be ugly for Wesley if that happens. So let's see what he decides to do. He decides to bring the other rook down to that pawn. So we're fighting over this solitary pawn. Look how these seemingly unimportant pieces are very important when they're in the center of the board. Very interesting. What will happen now? He's we've got two attackers here, three actually. The bishop, this rook, and those all staring at this lowly pawn, which is kind of only 3 away from being promoted. Here we have quite a few steps to being promoted. And let's see what will be the response here. What will he do? Will he move up the pawn? Or will he go for some other attack? Like here. But then it would take too much tempo to go around. Okay, what will he do? What's the shortest way to a better position? Indeed, he moves up the pawn, which the king cannot take because he would be an automatic check, and then there's this second rook staring behind it, so he needs to figure out how he's going to counterattack really fast. This bishop would be handy, and we would do a check, but it would be gone because it would not be protected. He doesn't have enough pieces to protect himself. All right, what happens next? Okay, he brings the bishop down here. Interesting move. Let's look at this move again. He brings out the bishop, and takes the pawn. Okay, that was such a fast move that I didn't see, but it does take the white pawn. So it ate up a pawn. Okay, so we have less pawns now for promotion purposes, which a lot of endgames, especially at the Grandmaster's level, are that way. So now he decides to move, has another plan. It seems he moves the rook to d1. Okay, because he can go up here, for example, which that will be protected. It's kind of attached to the rook. These are like, they prop up bigger pieces, stronger pieces. All right, what is Wesley going to do? He brings up the rook because he sees what's coming. And then Magnus changes direction. He now decides to attack this rook. And the rooks is all he's really got left right now of power, and the bishop is kind of not really doing much here. So now he brings it back up to protect this square. Magnus decides to move his knight onto a light square so that we are out of bishop's trajectory here. Not that he would want to go, but he could go here. So the bishop now is in a safer spot, technically, because it would be like zigzagging, just get this out of the way, and here we are. Anyway, to check. So he now is moving his pawns. So maybe it's a pawn promotion situation. It's like a breathe. Let's take a small break and then breathe a little bit to see what we can do. So he's moving up his pawn. And looks like Carlos has decided to attack the bishop, which has no defenders. So if he wants his bishop, to keep his bishop, he's going to move it. If he doesn't want it, he's going to think of a different counter move. Let's see what Wesley does. He moves his bishop. All right, and then he goes after the bishop. So he moves it again. So now he decided we're going to do something else. We're going to do a battery now towards the king, but from this direction because we got a pawn support here. If he goes here, we're supported by the pawn. If he takes, the pawn takes, so technically he can't move. But we still have this protector here. So we'll see how he's going to get rid of that. If that. So we are now deciding to have a breather and start pushing. Start pushing to see if we are going to be able to get a pawn promotion. All right, he finally makes this move. And it's a check. A rook to d7 check. What is Wesley gonna do? Is he gonna take? If he takes, then he takes. Let's see. He does take, and now he takes this again. So he moves out of the way. This is a very critical move again. Let's look at this sequence here. He takes, like even before this. Rook takes, rook takes. Okay, it's like a double image here. So now it's check again. We have to move out of the way. Okay. And what will Magnus do now? He's now going after the pawns. Let's eat them up. We have nothing to promote. He can do two at the same time. Well, not really, because he's could be attacked here, but at least the pawn. It's like a free pawn almost. So another moment of breather. Maybe like a waiting move until he decides to do something else. Okay, just eat up, mop up some of these pawns so they cannot be promoted. So he decides to move and attack the bishop. Interesting move. What will Magnus Carlsen do? He's going to take. He's going to then expose himself here. Or is there some other move he's got in mind? Well, he ignored this threat. And he's now checking the king. Again, if you're checking the king, you got to do something about the king. You can't do anything here. So he's like, okay, I'm going to check you. So now you have to figure out what to do with the king. what's he gonna do? So he ate this pawn, and now Magnus has another move in mind to eat the pawn. Okay, and now we have Wesley protecting the king. This was a check. Right, eating the pawn was one thing, but at the same time, it was a check. It's like a double move. You have two things being done at the same time, and a check. It's interesting, very interesting. High skill to get that, to be able to do that. Right, so he eats that, and then Wesley eats, what did he eat? He eats the bishop, and now he's on his way to maybe eating here, unless he takes. We shall see. It's getting very interesting, very tense. So instead of taking here and losing momentum, he's gonna be now only one away from being promoted. Okay. So he's now also one away from being promoted, most likely to a queen. So now he's promoted, Magnus promoted his pawn to a queen, and so did Wesley. Very interesting. He's still fighting till the end. All right. But now it seems that Magnus has momentum. And by having momentum, he can check the king first. And usually, if you can check the king first, you're going to be on the run. Your king is going to be on the run because you are not going to have that same opportunity. Check, 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 check. All right, let's see what happens next. Of course, we have a check on Wesley's king. He moves out of the way. Then he moves in with the rook to h4. It seems like we are now tightening up the noose here. Where is Wesley gonna go with his king? He's gonna protect the only move he's got left here. And how's Magnus going to respond? That skill of the end game is very important. Your brain might be tired, but you still got to think as sharp as a pencil. Okay, then he's protecting with his queen. Now there's another check. He's attacking with his pawn, opening up this line right here. And he's being squeezed in. Excuse me, d6 check. And the queen protects. And f8 check. It's just almost check, check, check. And the queen protects. Then the rook now is very close to the king by eating that up, gobbling that up. And this is where Wesley so resigned. And by resigning, Magnus won the final of the Skillman Knockout part of today's November 29, 2020 Skillman Open Final. And what a game! Alrighty. So as you can see, the abilities of both and how you fight to the end. There was a critical moment here. I'll show you where that really determined the major outcome. This move right here. You have to figure out. And I was commenting on the Skillman chat boards today, and considering maybe Carlsen will move his G pawn, and that's exactly what he did. And the chat went quiet. It was so amazing. The chat went quiet for that moment. It's like, how did she know? Well, don't ask me. But it was a very nice moment to have predicted Magnus Carlsen's major move, which was G5, right here. Alrighty, well, so that was the end of the game. Looked like this. I hope you enjoyed this. Please subscribe. I'll be putting more games of different eras and times for you to study chess and learn chess. Thank you.